Genshin a go baby. What's good, guys? Yoku here, and we got another developer dev talk, right? Which we haven't had one for a little bit. If you guys are unfamiliar, or if a lot of you guys are actually new to Zenless Zone Zero, right? What Zenless does is typically they'll do these dev talks. Now they used to do them pretty frequently, but I think this might be the, I don't know, 5th or 6th one, maybe. They kind of slowed down on doing these. We haven't really had one since, I want to say, the beginning of season 2, maybe the middle of season 2, give or take some of the things here, but now we're getting one for season 3, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Normally I stream these, but today, because they released it last night and I'm waking up super late, we're gonna watch this together. You guys get like this first experience with me, so hopefully you want to see that. Think of it more as a reaction, but what I tend to do is, just like I did with the roundtable with Street Fighter or any of the other dev talks, I usually like to look at these things and see like, hey, where are they going? This helps me get a good headspace, a good direction on where they're trying to take the game. And that's how a lot of the times when you guys hear me talk about the game or the vision, what characters are coming out, what they said they were going to do versus what's actually happening. Even with one of the more recent things, if you guys watched my previous video, you saw or you heard me talk about how HP inflation was kind of bothering the game or ruining some aspects of the game. Not specifically just HP inflation, but that's just the first thing. It's the easiest thing to say. So it is what it is. Anyhow, and that, you know, new enemies should get new designs, but whatever. It's been like a minute. Let's watch this. All right, 17 minutes, not too bad. Let me adjust the volume here a little bit. You guys should be okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not talking over the actual thing and whatnot, but I mean, hey, maybe we're in for a good little thing here. Insider Scoop Special Edition. I want to see what they're doing. I like that we're starting off with the narrative design. This is nice. And also, guys, if because I don't really think I'm going to do too much cutting here, just in case you guys haven't seen this and you want to see what they're talking about. I don't want to take away from something that they would have said. What I'm hoping for is, in like, especially with like them talking about the narrative, I'm like really two things I'm going to lock in for: the narrative and the combat, the direction for both of those. So when it comes to the narrative, I know a lot of y'all, if you're not new and you're someone that's been playing since season 1, a lot of you guys share similar opinions to a large majority of the community, where you pretty much want the game to go back to season 1 in terms of like the narrative direction, right? Or how they tell the story, the events, whatever the case might be. And one of the things that I realized as I was going back and like playing through some stuff, I'm talking to some of my other friends and going back, they're replaying the story as well. Season 1 was just way more comical, not comic like haha, but comic is like a comic book. And once we got to season 2 became much more of a full-on, you know, let's take the trope of a gacha game, let's take the trope of a gacha anime or something like that. And I don't know what they're gonna do with season 3, but season 1, that comic style, right? That's really what sold the game for a lot of us, and I'm hoping they get back to that point, but we'll see. And I to be fair though, I do like that the proxies are experiencing this, like, we have some form of power, you know, and it doesn't even have to be like is that Ram or yeah, Ramiel? She's hot. Anyway, it doesn't have to be, I love her nails. The proxy is getting some form of power, right, guys? It doesn't have to be this thing where like they turn into freaking Goku or something like that. It's just that they're not ordinary, you know, and we already knew that, you know, being hackers and whatnot. I was fine with them just being hackers, but for them to go a little bit above that, but I hope they still stay within the realms of hacking. Like, maybe make their powers something to do with that. If we get their powers and like they turn into a playable character and now they're doing damage, I don't want that.
和神将在6分阶的接触，又是有意为之，或者仅仅只是一场偶遇？他是否已经发现了神将眼中的秘密？他对这些秘密又知道多少？这些当然不是今天要跟大家讲的内容了，这些就留待后续。神将们在下一次的深夜问答游戏里向他问个清楚。
Damn, she got some Zampers on her, bro. Jeebus. I gotta turn that other light on.
来潜藏于法厄同体内的力量，也就是我们所说的赫里俄斯的遗产。 也将会以以太一体佩洛伊斯的形式真正出现在大家的面前。他会和其他的代理人一样，成为主角在战斗中的助理。当然，这也同样也意味着或主动或被动，那些赫里俄斯机关时期的往事也将在后续的故事当中慢慢来到法厄同的面前。
Who is that? Obviously, we won't know that, but like I like this little tidbit here. Like who? Obviously, I mean, I don't want to say obviously twice. Now it's 3 times. I like the little tidbits that we're getting here where it's like, who are these characters off to the side? Those 2 in the middle, I'm only safely assuming are going to be Bell and Wise. But I want to know who the other 2 are, because for what we remember, at least what we're told, they don't have any friends. So it's kind of interesting to see why they have this picture, why these two are removed from the picture, and who they're supposed to be lining up to be.
后续的故事当中，慢慢来到法厄同的面前，可能有熟悉的人，也有不熟悉的人。在第2季的尾声，空洞英雄大赛的背后，各方势力的图谋也渐渐浮出水面。有黑之的裁决官罗米亚，有挚爱
Romea, oh my girl Cecilia, yo, I love her.
拉米尔，以及自称来自马瑟尔集团的维琳娜与诺姆。
I like her a lot.
细心的绳匠可能已经
Valina?
维琳娜与诺姆在2.7的结尾所提及的另外一个势力罗斯凯利法时期就已经作为。
Are they actually taking us into space, or is this just, you know, what they're saying?
会更加优先的去考虑一些模糊的体验感，为罗斯凯利法定下了一种怎么说呢？从感受上可能像是温暖的旧日感这样一种情感方向上的基调。 这个情景是我们最初在和美术。
I think my problem, and I'm going to turn this light on here in a bit, but I think my problem with like what they're saying right now isn't even, I don't have a problem with the atmosphere they're setting up. I think my issue with it is that like right now it feels like Zenless is doing a lot of setup for the scenery, the vibe, how you're supposed to feel when it comes to experiencing and playing the game, but you can't really do anything with that. Like, and maybe for somebody that might not know what I mean, right? Imagine like going to like maybe like a baseball game or a football game, right? Something that you're supposed to enjoy, a game tournament, right? And you're supposed to feel the atmosphere. Everything about it is supposed to feel nice. You're supposed to feel like you're a part of the event itself. You know what I mean? The people, everyone's excitement, sorrow, hype, whatever. But instead of that, you just stand there. Like you're literally just standing there. Like you can't interact with anything, right? That's what it feels like. Like we have, even in New Era, I understand they're making a whole different thing, but we still have stuff. We still have things in New Era that we can't interact with. I think they just opened up a couple patches ago, right? They opened up the place where you go down, little nightclub or whatever it is. There's nothing to do there. I can't go down into the nightclub and, you know, get a drink, invite some of the friends, invite one of the characters to like a little date scene or whatever. At will. I can't walk down there and just like kick back, watch somebody playing a concert, see Astra, you know, in disguise playing late at night, or something like that, right? Like you can't do what they're trying to make you feel. And I get it. There's only so much that you could probably code and program into a game without taking away from something else. But that's the one thing that does bug me when it comes to any of the games trying to set up this atmosphere and you don't really get to experience it. It's just eye candy. Okay, now my light's on. I feel so much better, so much more illuminated.
以及策划同学沟通的时候构建起的第一个画面，我们也觉得它是一个最能代表罗斯凯利法整体氛围基调的一个基础。我们会从这个点出发去构建其他更多的东西。那么在这之后，其实第2个问题就出现了：当绳匠或者说我们的法厄同第一次踏入这座天空之城时，他最先感受到的应该是什么？ 是怀旧，是惊奇，还是那些奇怪或者说有些独特的邦布礼仪？出现在我面前答案其实有很多，我们想了很久，但是
The way that he's describing this makes me feel like they don't really.
却又陌生的感觉。
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking differently. Like you guys, let me know, right? I feel like
还是物件，还是一些 OK 生活上。
I feel like what I'm saying makes a lot more sense.
一种更罗斯凯利法的方式
You know,
说一些
but
大家不太熟悉的方式融合在一起，让他们最终整体呈现为一种。
maybe it's one of those things where I've played so many other games, and I think a lot of you guys are more familiar with like Persona, right? Everyone always mentions Persona, but I've played so many other games where that feeling of entering a town, like you get it. You know what I mean? Like you guys ever play Majora's Mask, like Zelda? You go in there and you one of the towns that, I mean every town really, but when you go to dang, what's the name of it? Hyrule, like the city of Hyrule or whatever. You go inside of there, everything's dead. You feel it. You know what I mean? It's a ghost town. Or when you're playing Twilight Princess, you go to the town with the one with the graveyard, and you like Epona. You got to go save Epona or something like that. Whatever. Anyway, it's dead. It's a ghost town, right? There's only so few people that exist in there. You feel it. And in a game like Zenless, that's a gacha game, I'm logging in or every other day. I don't feel it. But I feel like that's what they're trying to get across, is that like they're trying to make this new area something that feels like how they're trying to represent. But how he's explaining it, makes me feel like he doesn't understand that fully, or the team doesn't understand that fully. Like what the key element is missing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling.
熟悉而又陌生的感觉，让大家能够以这样的一种方式，这样的一种心情去见证这片奇迹之地。在这个以感受或者这种模糊的体感为先行去构思的过程当中呢，一些关键的叙事意象也自然的变得越来越清晰了，越来越重要。比如说象征着生命力与陪伴感的帮布，或者一些承载着具体的时代记忆。
Their sketch artist though is really good. The concept artist for this.
以及一些能够奠定整体场景基。
If he drew all of this, this is like he's really good.
社区 OK， 所以我们希望它有一些天上的故乡这样的感觉。在这之后，视觉的转化也就有了叙事的依据。拿物件举个例子吧，我们的美术团队像这样选择了一些复古未来风格的悬浮出租车以及双层巴士这些比较具象的。
Those look like Starro, but I like it. I'm not opposed to it. You know, Starro has really good designs, especially for Bellabog. But even that explains what I'm talking about. Going to Bellabog, there's so much stuff that you can see, but you can't really interact with it. And I think that's the main thing is that they create this very beautiful imagery, but you can't. Okay, like you know what? Perfect example. They create all this beautiful imagery and you can't really interact with it. There's a ramen bar in like one location, right, or two locations that I can go to, but I can't just like casually sit at the ramen bar and enjoy that, or like have a normal conversation or whatever, just for that little bit of a moment, right? It's always like go there, order, and then you leave. And if it happens to be a trust event near there, then maybe I can sit down and get a conversation. But then we have things like the hover cabs that they just mentioned, or even the hover bikes right here. Am I going to be able to ride this around town? I think that's where my brain is going, right? Where it's like you're giving this element of a futuristic city, a city that is, you know, like human and machine. So a lot of it is auto something. There's a word I'm thinking of. I can't think of the word, but it's auto something. Like everything manages itself automatically is the definition of autonomous. Maybe is what I'm thinking of. I don't think it's autonomous. Whatever. Anyway, point being is that like, can I ride the bike? Can I ride the bike? Can I go and take my bike inside of a charge station and let it charge up for like half a day, right? Or just even the aesthetic of parking it at a charge station and then leaving to go run and do something else, and then going to a different charge station and then, you know, retrieving the bike there or getting a new bike. Little stuff like that goes a long way when you're trying to push people into the immersion of the world. And you know what? I think it's funny because like, all right, I'm not going to pause this time. I think it's funny because tidbit, I was heavy in art when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a concept artist, whatever. So when I went to art school, they taught me all this crap about like how to feel, what you want to put on your paper, you know, things like that. So a lot of what they're doing is stuff that I would naturally think because I was taught to think that way about art. So maybe it's one of those things where like I was taught in a very like old traditional way, and this might be new, right? This might be a newer way to deliver that feeling with art. I'm not entirely too sure.
我们认为他们的灵感可能就是来自于罗斯凯列法上的这样的充电座，有可能大厦的主人曾经偶然见识过这套设施，然后邀请艺术家重金复刻，然后它甚至可能会成为艺术界的某种潮流或者话题。我们只是拿它举个例子，我们希望罗斯凯列法的更多的一些物件、一些设施、一些氛围感的东西，我们希望他们也能像这个样子，通过任务，通过大家在故事当中、在主城当中漫步的一些氛围感的感受。 希望他们能够与新爱丽都之间建立起这样那样的联系，成为大家能够体验的一些。
It seems like that's what they want. Like they want you to be able to experience that and be immersed in the city. Environmental storytelling, okay.
故事紧密相连。我们更希望的是，他们能够在罗斯凯利法以外的地方，比如说新爱丽都的各处，大家能够找到与他们呼应的东西，与他们有关联的东西。 最终呢，我们希望罗斯凯利法能够成为一个既与绝区零的整体的潮酷美学一脉相承，又能够与新爱丽都融为一体。凭借这种独特的叙事设计，让它
I think they might need to look into, and they might be doing that. I don't know. Obviously, I'm saving my judgment for when we actually get season 3, and then I'm able to experience this as well with the rest of you guys. But the more I listen to Ping talk about the narrative direction that they're trying to take with the game, the more it like in the back of my head, I'm like, I think you guys should like conceptually borrow from other games. And I talked to you already about like the Zelda stuff, right? We brought up Persona and things like that. But like in the case of environmental storytelling, I don't really have one like off the top of my head. I actually, yes, I do. Xenoblade. Xenoblade is probably the perfect example for a lot of things. But Xenoblade. If you guys have played Xenoblade, if you haven't played Xenoblade, you should probably try Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter. Or even Xenogears, right? The ones previously before Xenoblade, their predecessors, if you will. And then there's Xenosaga. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so Xenoblade does a really good job at both the immersion and the environmental storytelling. If we're talking about these two things in a very distinct manner, right? And so environmental storytelling, what do you like? What would you take that for? Environmental storytelling is like, okay, if I'm going through the town and you know there's a broken down car next to an old automobile shop, right? An auto shop. And it's like, that's pretty interesting. Why is that car broken down? And then one of the quests or side quests that you happen to roll through is from a very frantic girl freaking out because she can't fix her dad's auto shop and she's just missing some pieces and, you know, someone robbed her of whatever. And you go on this side quest and it takes you all over the town, slightly outside of town. You come back just to find out that like some of these pieces were already here and that you setting up this shop, right? Helping her fix up the shop is actually helping expand the town overall, like bringing life into the town, right? Or experiencing that with the automobile of the car itself, right? The broken down car. And you're able to look at that and be like, oh, okay, this is why this is here. Or this tells you a little bit more about like where her dad is or what her dad was doing, just for you to, I don't know, 3 chapters later, end up discovering that her dad didn't leave her or wasn't killed in, you know, the art of war, right? The combat of war, or whatever the fuck, but he was kidnapped so that he could make more cars for this other civilization because they were struggling. I don't know, right? It's little stuff like that. And so if Zenless really wanted to push that, I understand it's a gacha game, but if they really wanted to push it, I really do think they need to take a chill pill on the gacha, heavy push the RPG aspect of the game. Cause like, that's so much more important in my opinion, because you're going to make the money. Whatever money you're trying to make, you're going to make your money, bro. So it's fine. But now we get into the city and combat. Xiao Yu? Or is it Xiao? I think it's Xiao Yu, right? Yeah, like Tekken, Xiao Yu. Roaring Breckies. Come get your roaring waffles.
或别了熟悉的 T 曼咖啡，但在坐落于贝克福德街的片刻前中，特制型号的
Yo, is he getting his like? Okay, hold on. I know we're done. We just got through talking about the environmental stuff. Can we take a moment? Look at the concept art. All right, I'm gonna point something out, guys. Look at the concept art. Now, here's what I want you to take into consideration. Why can't I go inside of the coffee shop? You see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I keep talking about when I say like the immersion itself gone? Chapter 1 set up something that was so great, and like season 1 set up something that was so great, and then season 2 kind of like ignored all of it. You know what I mean? Like instead of expanding on it, let me go into Tin Master's coffee shop, sit down and like order a cup of coffee. Even if I don't want, like, because you could easily just go like, hey, I want the coffee, get my stamina and then leave, right? But you could also give them the option of going in there, ordering whatever coffee they want, sitting down for a moment and like casually. I talked about this a long time ago, I think in the last dev talk or the last live stream, something like that. But you could like imagine you go into the coffee shop, you sit down, you do whatever, you're waiting on your coffee, and then Sokaku and Yanagi happen to walk in behind you. They order their coffee and like they have their own little casual conversation that you can only see in that one interaction, right? Obviously it repeats because it's a gacha game, but you know, it's just like that little interaction right there where Sokaku's like, I want hot chocolate. I want white chocolate, like that. Like, oh wait, no, I want a mocha latte. What? You know, and she just starts naming crap that she has no idea because she just wants sugar. And Yanagi's like, you can't have that. Like it's you're allergic to this. You can't have that. This is too much sugar. We're not gonna jack you up on caffeine. You don't need caffeine as a little child, right? All these things that could happen from that helps you curate the story of the entire world and the character development so much better. I just maybe my mind for stuff is like
下午茶同样能为神将们驱散行动后的疲惫。此外呢，还有像是面包店啊、爵士吧等这种特殊独特的店铺坐落于在城市的各处，供玩家自由。
I see the models inside the store. I like that.
被一个新的系统所承载。
Interboo Terminal. Is this a train station?
为罗斯凯利法帮部门的通用网络。这套系统将贯穿整个主城，还有整个战斗区。 辅助身为非本地人的主角们和 ES 一起深度参与帮部的交流网络，发掘城市中的隐藏秘密区域，探索各个区域的热点事件，收录城市内的角色。
Off topic, you guys think that you see the Godfinger arcade machine in the background? You think that's real? Like, you think that's actually going to play Godfinger? Because if so, I want it.
档案在第3季内，不联邦的内容会逐步开放。随着玩家账号权限的升级呢，不联邦终端还会为大家提供一站式的成长体验与丰厚的回馈，帮助玩家揭开隐藏在罗斯凯利法背后的人文故事。
Why? Why though?
新帮部主题玩法也会随着一场意外开启。我们将和新代
Okay, Bamboo themed game mode. As long as it's fun, I'll take that. But like, go back to the
应对各种挑战。随着玩法
why.
的深入，选项们会了解到更多的帮部。
If you're asking what I keep saying, why are we making another progress tracker? Don't we have like 4 or 5 of them already in the game? Why are we adding another one? Which now that I see is not just for Bamboos, but like the whole city as a whole. Like, why do we have one specifically for a new city? I feel like it's too much. And then wasn't everyone complaining about the whatever that thing was in season 2 with the you got to go there and do it daily or whatever and rack up and sell and the coins and the antiques, the whatever. I don't know if we should be making more of those. I don't think the people like that. Now, when I hear secret base, I'm thinking of Pokemon Gen 3. Okay, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. If I don't see no secret base, I can open it up and use hidden or a secret power inside of a bush or tree. I'm gonna be pretty disappointed.
它的出现会将小范围内的现实空间短暂的变为与空洞内相似的环境，这里有错综复杂的通路，变化的机关，它会带来全新的探索与战斗。
Oh, okay, so a little interdimensional travel. I like that.
的老朋友蚁骸自然也会出现。这种现象的出现，到底是偶然，还是有人在背后操纵，刻意为之？那就留着后续的故事当中，由神将们自行的探索吧。在探索的过程中呢，法厄童本身具备了黑客技术，也将得到更实际的应用与体现。在特定的情况下，操纵场景内的多种科技造物，或是在 EIC 的
This is kinda. Let me let him finish real quick. Unlock more special tools. Okay. So this is kind of, if you guys watch again my previous video that I put out most recently, where I talk about the issues with like Zenless right now and like what they could do to improve the ecosystem as a whole, right? Some of the things that I mentioned was like they should borrow from Genshin, and you know, obviously most of the comments were like, yeah, you know, I can see where you're coming from. Then some of the comments are like, ill Genshin, no. But when you see and you hear the direction they're going, they're trying to turn Zenless into this weird, not being bad, weird, just like it's not normal, right? They're trying to turn it into this weird semi-open world RPG, which on one end, I'm okay with that. We got that with season 2 where we have the open world area. We could run around and, you know, fight and explore and stuff like that. But it didn't feel fully fleshed out. You know what I mean? And even though we were able to do things in there, which stuff like the co-op, which is great, we still weren't able to fully take advantage of the fact that it was open world. There's no co-op in the game. I can't really use multiple characters. I can't have a partner running around with me. I think one of the more recent events lets you do that, which we had originally in the original HoYoverse. If you guys don't remember, before they changed it, that was one of the things that we had. It was partners who could like run around with you and come out and do special commands after you did stuff. And so now it kind of feels like they're going back to that, but in the city. Again, just borrow from Genshin Impact, right? And despite what people might feel about the game, the whole point of what I'm saying is to just take open world elements and put them in the game. Even if players like, oh, I hate open world, I don't want to play it, it's fine. You don't have to engage with it, but at least allow the option to be present so that more people who want to spend time on the game, just casually, they have things to do. That's why Genshin soars up there in terms of playtime.
敬请期待，这便是罗斯凯利法，一个等待你的降临，亲手写下故事的地方。
I think we should be getting into Combat and gameplay. Finally, there we go.
场景相关的内容真的很精彩。我是 ZK，在战斗方面，我们也在持续投入，力求给大家带来更新、更好的体验。在即将到来的2.8版本，大家将会体验到风属性所带来的策略变化。2.8版本的新 BOSS 会在特定阶段进入风属性异常。
Wait, what? I was so zoned in. Okay, guys, my brain. You know, you do that thing where you're like locked into something, you just kind of zone out. I read and registered that his name was Mr. ZK. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Mr. Z is the entire like game designer as a whole, right? Like the developer. So I'm like, is Mr. ZK Mr. Z, or is Mr. ZK a completely different person now? Because I don't remember ZK being a person. And then as I'm like zoning out, my eyes kind of glued in on one, you know, they kind of like blur everything else around it. And I saw wind attribute. I'm like, wait. We're getting a new element. We're getting a new wind attribute, which isn't really new. Sokaku and Miyabi were originally wind element users in CBT2, and they replaced it with ice. So now they're bringing it back. Does that mean we're getting a green element? Green would be really cool. Okay, Promea, sick. Vortex, what is that? Wait, he's not going to explain it? Explained it? Wow. He's not going to explain it at all? The new boss in version 2.8 will enter a wind attribute anomaly state during specific phases. Is that a new version of Bringer? Okay, and inflicting other attribute anomalies during this period will trigger a brand new vortex effect. And now that I'm reading that up top, it does say windswept. So it looks like wind is also going to be getting its own attribute counter, which is cool. It does trigger with the bloom, impairs, shatter, and vortex. That's 4 or 5 different anomaly actions happening all at once here. And I'm pausing slowly so I can see a little bit more of like what's going on, right? Okay, that's not Bringer, but that looks like Bringer. It's not though. Why? I mean, I guess tease it, sure, but like for what? But then, oh, I guess we're getting we're getting the live stream this Friday, so maybe that's why. Maybe they're gonna talk about it there. I don't know. Wait, guys, there's so much that I might be able to pull back from this. They're working on the latest rupture specialty, good, on top of player feedback. I really hope this means they're changing rupture to be something that isn't just an attack agent, but ignores all the defense. In order to formulate and explore more possibilities regarding combat strategy and team synergies. Okay. We hope this provides more squad building options, broadening the possibilities in combat. Are they assuming that adding wind attribute is going to help with that? Because I mean, I guess like you're making a Nemo from Genshin, right? But that doesn't really make teams easier to build, or rather having more options to build. Okay, we're still enhancing older characters. I'm going to talk about this in a moment, depending on what I see. New enemies / combat mechanics coming soon. I'm a fan. We're also bringing up new attack and defense skills for the new enemies. Some of the new skills may contain hidden designs that require you to seize the right timing and coordinate your responses. Good. Yes. Unlocking some sick combos. They've been watching my content, guys. You know, nobody else says sick combos. Nobody else says saucy combos. Nobody else says sick nasty. They be watching EO, man. Come on, give me my prop. In all seriousness, though, we'll see. Old rivals you clashed with before are bringing brand new, never before seen. I gotta make that clap loud, bro. Thank you. I said this. I literally I'm telling y'all, if you happen to just be seeing this video and you skipped the previous video, go watch the previous video. Everything that you are seeing right now, I called it. I said it. I said these are the things they need to bring into the game, and it looks like they're doing that. This is a wonderful thing. revitalizing old enemies so that they play or they feel more fresh and they fit the new direction of the game, or at the very least make it so they're not as a training dummy just getting beat up. Phenomenal change. And if they can do this across the board, so pretty much every enemy or a majority of the enemies, the most popular enemies, that really does help help the game feel fresh. On top of the character changes, like but they're doing a lot. Wait, finishing moves. When a boss you're familiar with unleashes a new finishing move out of nowhere, it might make the combat experience even more thrilling and satisfying. Okay. Wait. Is this a new mode? Please don't be a new mode. Like, it's fine if it's a new mode, but like don't restrict the new skills of old enemies to a new mode, because what I'm reading right here, right? This part in this mode will provide preset agent team compositions for you. That's good, again, in a new mode, but not if this is the only place that you can see it.
另外，在之前的节目中和大家分享过的0号空洞的迭代方向，目前也有了阶段性的进展。我们正尝试在这个玩法里构建一个更完整、沉浸的单局体验框架，并且将其与局外的资源循环深度融合。
Yes。
我们还会加入全新的敌方单位，与敌人相关的独特。
Double yes。
玩家所面对的核心挑战将来自危机四伏的。
Turn HoLo0 into like the grindable roguelike thing. And reward players with character resources.
该玩法将在第3季推出，目前正在持续调优中。活动玩法方面，我们主要会以以下方向持续。
I don't care about the event gameplay. I mean, I do care about the event gameplay, but like I really want them to go back to that, the HoLo0 thing. Make HoLo0 a roguelite. If they expand on it, similar to what they did with the co-op experience, the co-op event, and even borrow some things from the older HoLo0, and you reward players not with polychrome, because I know you guys are like, I won't do it unless there's poly. Stop. We don't, once you reach a certain point, you really don't need the poly. I'm not saying that for the sake of like you don't need pools. I'm saying that like every reward doesn't need to be polychrome because it creates too many issues. But if you were to make it like a weekly reward thing and you get character resources for it, or even make it unlimited, because now you just play it forever, I don't know, and you get a lot of resources, that's better. Because right now resources are very tight, and trying to build a character is you gotta pre-farm or else.
持续推出能体现都市生活气息的趣味玩法。2.7 版本的滚烫寻仙记火锅店活动承蒙大家喜爱。 在第3季中，更多兼具情感与城市氛围的活动也列入了。
Okay, is that true? I have not seen that. So this has to be in a particular area of the internet that I'm just not aware of. I haven't seen too many people like thoroughly excited about the hot pot event. I think that it's just there. It's easy, so people do it. They're not complaining about it in terms of like this event sucks, but they're not like, oh yeah, bro, make more of this. This is the best event. I don't see people saying that. So it's kind of interesting that whatever information they're receiving to say that tells them like, yo, make more.
其次，我们也在筹备更多融合轻度操作与战斗爽感的休闲玩法。此前广受好评的战斗拍照活动，目前也在优化过程中，未来会以更具乐趣的形态回归。最后
，Just make the camera event permanent. Make the item permanent, bro. It doesn't have to be an event. The fucking item that's already coded in the game.
下期的大型活动中，各位将能体验到玩法如何更自然地成为叙事的一部分，从而去推动情绪，营造氛围。总之，在第3季里，我们会加大。
Season 3 will see a larger emphasis on combat gameplay. Okay, so season 3 is my year, boys. All right, that's it. They're doing it. Hold on, what about sandbox? Beating difficult challenges or sandbox exploration. We'll do our best to ramp up our characters' roles in them. Players are a fan of favoring different combinations, combining content. Okay.
也尽可能以战斗为基点去做体验拓展，让玩家尽可能操作喜爱的代理人， 用一个更匹配预期的体验形式去游玩。
Yes.
在休闲玩法上，我们也会以
When it comes to casual gameplay, we'll also develop new content with the goal of letting everyone explore or experience the charm of our agents and the urban thrills of New Eridu. Okay, so it does seem like, from the gist of things, it looks like they did take some consideration into a lot of the feedback they're receiving, and they're trying to implement it. And honestly, maybe they just have more people on the team that are, you know, like, this is narrative, this is gameplay, this is story, this is environment, this is combat, these are events. Like, maybe they just split it up. I don't know.
从新主城罗斯凯利法的特色场景到战斗玩法与角色的全方位进化，这便是我们为《绝区零》第3季及未来所勾勒的蓝图。
Yeah, anniversary is around the corner, so that'll be pretty good.
我听阿鹏老师说，我们要进行一次非常重要的优化。
哦，仔细说说。
是的，为了确保我们季度主线的高潮部分能够拥有充分的铺垫，也让每一位角色的塑造更加饱满，我们将对版本叙事重心进行以下这样的安排。首先，在3.0版本作为季度的开篇，我们希望大家能暂时放下负担，在全新的舞台罗斯
Wait, what?
自由探。
Hold on. Firstly, as the opening of the new season, version 3, will provide Proxy some breathing room to unburden themselves and freely explore this new playground, Roskalefair. Feel free to soak in. Okay, so the first part is just flat out like getting to know the world in the city that you're in. That's fine. 3.1 is going to be the major point to the narrative. Okay.
同时，在即将到来的2.8版本当中呢，我们也将会在追查拉米尔踪迹的同时，揭开更多与赫利俄斯机关以及主角在第3季中将获得的全新能力以太一体的线索。请大家务必锁定4月24日的2.8版本前瞻直播。
Okay, yeah, April 24th. That's like 2 days from now, if I'm not mistaken.
我们下次见。
Now, I did see, which I'm not sure if maybe I looked away and it didn't pop up, but I did see somewhere along Twitter, they were going to be buffing up the older characters again. And I know they said it somewhere in here that they were still working on that, but let's just have some closing thoughts of our own, right? Let's talk about what I just saw, a little bit of what's going on, and kind of like what I'm looking forward to. I guess we could talk about that. Ultimately, here are a few things. You guys heard most of my opinions throughout the video, but some of the things that I mentioned, which like the narrative design and whatnot, I'm not going to harp on that too much longer. I feel like that was a bulk of the beginning of the video there, but I do think that when it comes to Zenless Zone Zero and a lot of other gacha games for the most part, I have varying opinions about things in general. You kind of have to do these things. It's getting to a point now where everybody wants to be a gacha game, despite the fact that I think the gacha economy as a whole is beginning to decline. I think we've reached the peak of gacha games, and now whatever it is what you have. And trying to make this grand different thing that's like, oh yeah, we're different, we're awesome, you're gonna end up in a situation like Arknights. And I hate to say it that way, but Arknights is in a very odd situation where it came out of the gate, it had a lot of promise, and then I want to say over 70% of the player base has dropped the game. The interest levels, which you guys know I always look at like numbers and stuff like that, analytics, and so if you want, just look at YouTube in general, the interest levels for the game have dramatically decreased as well. And I say that because Arknights has only been out for a few months. It's not a game that's been out for a year. And when you keep making these games that are supposed to be different, it's fine to be different. It's absolutely fine to be different, but the same thing that I tell you guys when it comes to learning a team, right? Or learning a combo in a game, a build, whatever. You need to understand why that thing worked in the first place. You can't alter and tweak some shit without understanding why this thing worked in the first place. If you don't understand why this thing was successful, you can't tweak it, right? It's the same thing, again, art shit learning, right? When you learn art and you're like, hey, I want to draw anime, I want to draw hentai, I want to draw fucking whatever, right? Video game characters. In order for you to learn how to draw a human, a character, a alien, whatever, you have to understand the base concept, the base skeleton of what it is that you're manipulating, which is called anatomy, right? And so that's across the board. You need to understand human anatomy. You want to draw human characters. If you want to draw animals, you need to understand animal anatomy. Why? Because if you wanted to draw a stylized human, right, an anime character, and your anime character, the drawing that you made, because you don't understand how anatomy works, you drew a character and his legs bent backwards like a duck. That's not how human legs work, so it's physically wrong, right? doesn't look right. That's not a human. If you wanted to draw the human character and his neck was 40 times longer than his torso, or his legs were tiny as hell and he had no shins, right? You just drew one long thigh with no kneecaps. Like, you have to understand human anatomy before you can start tweaking and warping the actual bones and physique of a human. The same thing applies to a gacha game, any game for that matter. The same thing applies. Before you tweak it, you have to understand why it is what it is and why it worked the way that it did. When it comes to Zenless Zone Zero, I like that they're going through the process of essentially, I don't want to say revamping, because that's not what it is. They're building on top of what they've already done and what they already have. The problem now is that you're entering this space where you've been out for what? We're going on 2 years now, I think, or 3 years, whatever it is. It's 2 years, right? For Zenless, you're going on 2 years now where the player base that you have is already here. You might be losing some of the more veteran players. Sure, you're getting to a point where you're going to lose the top player, pro player. There, you can't really be a pro. The people that are really skilled at the game, okay, red level players, right? You're getting to a point where you're going to start losing them because the game is not offering them anything that they want. Now, the new game mode they mentioned, which again, I really hope it's not a game mode. I mean, yeah, make a mode, but like also bring all that other stuff to everything else outside of the game mode, right? Bring it to Deadly Assault, bring the new skills and new bosses and new mechanics, new moves. Bring that to Shiyu Defense, bring it to Deadly Assault, bring it to Tower, bring it to, I forget whatever it's called, but the Anomaly something, I don't know. Bring it to that mode, right? You have to do that. And it's good that they realize, hey, we are a combat focused game. Like a core part of our game is the combat. So we have to kind of not neglect that. And season 3 seems to be, at least based off what they said, season 3 is going to be where they really try and hone in on that. So this is the moment. This is the opportunity for everyone to be like, yo, send this in. Talk about the combat here. Here's what we want. Here's what you should add. Here's what you should take away. We don't want more of this, but we want more of this. All these kind of things, right? This is that moment for them to really absorb all of that information and then put it into their game. Because after this, after season 3, I really don't think that they're going to have another opportunity like that. You know, anniversaries are only so big. You're only attracting so many players within the game, within the audience, especially when you don't have anything that's pulling them into that. And to go from season 1, which is like really fantastic, everyone loves it. Season 2, majority of people don't like season 2. And now we're getting into season 3, which season 3 is up in the air, right? It could be great. It could be bad. We have no idea. And then on top of all of that, you also have no real reason to stay inside of the game. I'm very surprised I didn't hear them mention anything about the arcade. That still bothers me that they didn't mention anything about the arcade at all, and like working on more of a, and they did say this part, which is like, we want to not neglect our casual audience as well, right? Casual players, and like having a reason to play the game casually, where you're not focused on the combat, despite the fact that the combat is the core gameplay of the core foundation of the game, right? Is the combat. They just said that they're still trying to cater to the casual players by making them casual modes. The best way to do that, even without making a casual mode, is literally to open the world up and let them be immersed. Give them something that they can explore inside of the game. Give them something where, like we talked about with the coffee shop, that one little interaction goes a long mile. Being able to ride the bikes, right, or the cabs and go from point A to point B it goes a long mile. And I say that especially now where what's today? NTE literally comes out in 8 days. Like, per me recording this video and then you guys watching this video, because I'm getting it up the same day, NTE releases at the end of April. So all of May, which is when we're going to be in 2.8 of Zenless Zone Zero, all of May is NTE. And this game is labeling itself as the anime GTA. Anons is doing the same thing, so we'll have 2 anime GTAs, but still anime GTA, which we already know. If you haven't played GTA, you might not have seen some stuff about Grand Theft Auto. The game is basically a huge open world, do whatever the heck you want, literally. And it has the GTA RP, which is originally, I believe it was creator first, like they made it, the creators made it, or players made it, and then the developers were like, yo, this is great, let's go ahead and officially implement it into our game. Boom, and then they did it, which is awesome. So whenever they're doing that, now it's at a point where, and it's not just Zenless, but now we're at a point where now we're competing with NTE. Zenless as a game is competing with NTE, and I never really thought I'd have to say that, because originally NTE was its own thing, but now it's creeping into that territory, and Zenless is also creeping into that territory where you're creating this semi-open world aesthetic. Now, one of the things about NTE that I know from just being able to play one of the previous betas, I can get on the hover bike and ride around the town. I can walk into the coffee shop, order coffee, sit down and watch all the NPCs do whatever. I do have co-op, and I can have my friend come into my world, go into the coffee shop and just do whatever they want. We can play pool. I can go and race cars like Mario Kart. I can go blow up, you know, a civilian ice cream truck or train if I really wanted to do that, which I love doing that in GTA, but whatever. Anyway, I can do all that. And I have the possibility of having what would be hardcore gameplay. I have to do quotation marks there because from what I played in NTE, there's nothing hardcore about the gameplay. They didn't have any type of like cancels or animations or like a lot of the intricate things that make combat as smooth and fluid as it is. It felt stiff. Cool animations, but it felt stiff. And so once I get my hands on this new one, maybe that'll change, right? The official release for it, I'm not entirely too sure. I've seen a lot of good impressions for the previous CBT3 going into what would be the final game. So I'm excited for that. But going back to my point here is that Zenless is now competing. That's a bad thing for Zenless. It's a good thing for NTE, and it's a good thing for anybody that wants to double dip or figure out whether or not they want to, like, you know, play Zenless or play NTE and get a feel. I encourage you to do both, right? Play NTE, see how you like it, but that's where we are. Zenless only has so much time. All gacha games are on the clock. They only have so much time to grab what they can, capitalize, and then grow from there. And when you get stagnant, when you're stuck trying to find out what kind of game you want to be, you end up just keep going down and down and down and down and down. It takes a lot for you to recover, right? Not every game, not every developer is afforded the opportunity or the blessing. That's what it really is. The blessing of weathering 2.0. 2.0 drastically changed so many opinions and perspectives about weathering waves, right? Not every game is afforded that blessing. So I don't know. But that's my little tidbit there, if you will. I'm more excited about the combat than anything. The story, I'm really hoping does pick up. I'm hoping it goes back to its more comic style thing where like it's there in season 2, but it's not there. And my thing about it was like in season 1, we got to feel for every character. You play season 1, and I think it's chapter 2, right? With Bellabog, you get the character development behind Nekomata. You get to learn more about Grace. You get to learn more about Ben, Anton. You literally get to learn about Coleta and like her backstory and why she is the way she is. And this allows you to have that type of attachment to that character. You see the same thing with the Victorian housemaids, right? And we didn't even have all of Lycan's backstory then. He was just this mysterious wolf butler dude that was really strong. Once we got to 6 or 7 or 1.6, 1.7, whatever it was with Hugo, we got more of that with Lycon. And like that's the way you do it, right? Rena got her own character story, right? And she got stuff in the Victorian housemaid stuff, which like if you played Rena's story, it's really sweet, it's really heartfelt, really sad. Like boom, you get it. Soldier 11 had a whole thing throughout all of 1.0 going into 2.0, right? Same thing with Anby. Nicole is Nicole. We kind of always get something with her. And now we're getting Billy with, you know, S-Rank Billy, Silly, as they're calling him in the streets. Season 2 didn't feel like that at all. You know, and I think that's a big reason why people don't like season 2, the way that it's trying to portray itself, right? Like we got Ishwin. I love Ishwin as a character. I really like Ye Wang as a character too, but both of them kind of just fall off into the face of nothingness. And now we're going into season 3, where presumably the previous characters probably won't matter. Maybe they will, right? Maybe they'll have some huge 1.4 or 1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1.4, right? With Miyabi, they'll have some huge 1.4 moment where they all come together and show off how strong they are. And Ishwin and Ye Wang have been secretly training in the back, and like all these things happen. Maybe we get that. I don't know. But right now, Ishwin came, she did her thing, and then she left, gone, right? I still want to know more about Ishwin's sister. Probably never going to happen. We don't even have, to my understanding, it feels like, and again, I could be wrong because I just haven't gone back to look at my tape collection. We don't get tapes anymore. The character stories, feels like I don't get those anymore. I don't have a character story for Vivian. I don't have a character story for, we already had Soldiers or Ambi and stuff like that, but I don't have a character story for Orphe. Maybe I do have one because she kind of got her own thing, right? Maybe they don't need a character story anymore because like they all get their own stories, but it just feels like there's little things that you could do inside of that. And again, maybe we get that with season 3. I'm not entirely too sure. Season 2 just really dropped the ball for a lot of players. So I understand why they feel the way they do about the game, or at least the story, and why they're no longer interested in the story, which is another reason that Zenless should be really, if they're going to make season 3 the season about combat, they really need to dig into that. and I'm open to it. I'm sure a lot of other people are open to it. If they're able to really reach out to players, to content creators that are focused on the combat and not so much like, should you pull this? Should you do that? Like players that are really getting into the nitty gritty of the combat, because I feel like those type of players are the ones that are going to be able to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about what's currently here, what you should change and how you can improve it, versus if we were to just take the opinion of like the average Joe or like the general player base. And this isn't to knock off any of the general player base, right? I'm not saying that their opinion doesn't matter. I'm just saying that if we're already struggling to find this balance of challenging content as well as rewarding and not crazy, unrealistic for the average or free-to-play or casual player, asking said free-to-play player would then diminish it from the challenging content, right? Or not even just a free-to-play, just like whatever that group of players are, getting a consensus, majority consensus from them, you are now removing the difficulty of whatever it is you're trying to do, because majority of them only care about the reward, right? How do I clear this without stressing, without sweating? I want the reward from that. And what it kind of seems like Zenless is doing is just making new modes. And I'm a fan of new modes, but I don't think we need 57 different game modes, right? Like at that point, it just kind of defeats the purpose. And then last thing I want to say before we end it off, which I don't think they addressed it. I really wish they would have addressed it. I really wish they would have addressed it. Stop inflating the fucking HP. I have to say fucking, like every single character release or update, someone has 5 bazillion HP increase. There's no reason. It's no longer justified. And my thing that I'm going to keep saying, you made your bed, now you have to lie in it. You created Miyabi. Despite you not understanding the power that you created, you made her. Deal with it. Then you made Ye Shun Wang and you made Arya back to back. You created 2 simple to play characters with insane powerhouses and a ridiculous vertical ceiling. You can't punish players for using something that you gave them access to. You gave them the Master Sword from Zelda, and then you said, yeah, here's the Master Sword, but we're gonna make it so that every time you swing the Master Sword, it breaks after 3 swings, and you have to go get another Master Sword. There's no point. You did it to them, like whatever. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I know not everybody watches the dev talk. This dev talk was 7 out of 10. I just said that for the memes. Honestly, for me, this dev talk was a 6 out of 10. If I had to give it a score, I think season 2's dev talk was way, and it might be like season 2.5 or whatever it was, the middle. But whatever that season dev talk was phenomenal. The first one, of course, was way up there for me. Season 3's dev talk it's leaving a hopeful but weary taste in my mouth. I really want to see where they're gonna go with everything. I'm excited, but I'm also cautious. Maybe you are too. Maybe you're overly excited. Maybe you're done with the game. I don't know. Let me know. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.